Hello everyone, this is Bloba coming at you with another Kindred Fates video. This time I'm going to be doing something a little different. This time we'll be doing a series of videos where I give you guys an overview and then maybe some gameplay tips on the different Kinfolk in the alpha. This time we're going to be starting with the Kinfolk I have the most time with, Skulken. Start things off, we have Skulken's moves, starting with his basic attack, Dark Volley. The basic attack is, well, what it sounds like, a basic attack. You have it no matter what your build has, it's going to be assigned to your left click, and it has a pretty decent range with a pretty decent damage. The one thing I would note about the basic attack is that even though basic attacks might sound weak, they can be very useful for dealing damage at a fair range, so don't be shy about using it, and perhaps even go a couple games where you only use it to maybe improve your aim some. Next up, we have Skulken's bread and butter, Caustic Cloud. Caustic Cloud spawns a poisonous cloud in the area. Any enemies caught within the cloud will get the poison status, as well as taking damage over time while they're in the area. Poison is absolutely deadly if you can hit your opponent with it, because it essentially is almost as good as a kill. If you can trade your Skulken damage for a poison cloud, such as like over Lumala's Angelic Ray or a Ember's explosion, it will often be worth it just for the fact that you got the poison on them. Next, we're getting to Skulken's debuff move, Startle. Startle will lower the physical and special defense of the target. This move is not too hard to pull off. If you want, you can maybe try to fit it in between your other attacks when your opponent is hiding behind cover or when you get the drop on them. A good thing to do is, like you see in the video, doing it through a Caustic Cloud so they might not see it coming. Startle can potentially make the difference between a victory and a loss if you're careful about how you use it. Just make sure not to spam it over your more damaging moves. Next up, we're going to be having Homing Blast. Homing Blast is a move that tracks the enemy and deals weak damage to the target. While it's weaker than your basic attack, it can be good for dealing that last bit of damage to a nearly dead foe who is on the run. After using it for a bit, I wouldn't really recommend using it over your basic attack necessarily, but in certain situations it still can be favorable. Just be careful of the animation lock it puts you in, because your enemy can punish that if they're careful. Here we have Skulken's most versatile move, Teleport. On the surface, Teleport seems simple enough. Teleport allows the user to teleport around. If used right, you can escape your opponent, chase them down, and even set up traps for them. In this video here, you can see I closed the gap on Riverside almost instantly by teleporting in. I would suggest using this together with Caustic Cloud so they can't see you teleport away, and if you're lucky, you might even be able to get the drop on them from it, much like I do right up here. And last but not least, we have Wither. Wither deals damage and slows the target. For me, this is one of the hardest powers to hit in the game, but the payoff can be huge. The slow leaves your opponent as a sitting duck for whatever attacks you wish to throw at them, including something like Caustic Cloud. Mastery of this power can make your Skulken turn into a true nightmare to your opponent. And that covers all of Skulken's moves. So now I wanted to move on to just some more general tips for Skulken. Skulken's very slow, and it can be hard to get away from melee attackers. So this is where your Teleport and Caustic Cloud can really help you. When you see someone trying to close in on you, you can either teleport away or throw a Caustic Cloud at your feet and stand in or around it, throwing attacks at your opponent while trying to stay just out of reach. In ranged combat, I think Skulken fares much better. If you keep your range and have a good aim, you can wear down your opponent with just your basic attacks so long as you're clever with your dodging. Whatever you do, don't just rush your opponent with Caustic Cloud at the ready, or they'll likely see it coming and try to get away. Instead, try to back them into a corner with your other attacks while slowly moving closer and then hitting them with Caustic Cloud when they least expect it, perhaps comboing it with Wither or Teleport. Next up, I wanted to cover what I feel to be the best or worst matchups for Skulken. I think the best counter to Skulken at the moment is probably a well-played Ember. Ember has more options at range and up close, making it very hard for a Skulken to punish him, and the Ember can fairly easily punish Skulken. This leaves you in a place where you have to play Skulken very well and within conjunction with other kinfolk to do good against an Ember. On the flip side, Skulken is very good versus slow-moving targets such as Mechkit and to a lesser extent Shovelet. With these slower moving kinfolk, you can more easily hit them with your Caustic Cloud, and hitting Mechkit with Caustic Cloud puts him on a timer he can't really afford. The only thing about Shovelet is with Dig, Shovelet does have a counter to your Caustic Cloud. Speaking of Shovelet, one of the combos with Skulken that go really well together is using your Shovelet's Quicksand or even perhaps your Rockfall and trapping your opponent with slowing them, but it's much easier to hit than Wither is, and then hitting them with your something like your Caustic Cloud. That can give you a real edge on your opponent if your opponents aren't careful and looking out for it. But that's about all I could really think of today about Skulken. Please let me know if you have any questions about how to play Skulken or what kind of combos you want to know would work good with Skulken, or if you have any tips of your own to add in the comments below. Until next time, this has been Bloba, signing off. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Until then, goodbye, and God bless.